Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Don't drink the flavor aid.
Welcome back to the Clerc podcast show. Good to be back on here. Damon Weinandt, Adam Farag.
Let's go.
Good to have you guys back every week here for the big shows. We're giving away more shirts, so make sure you're out there sharing, commenting, retweeting, anything to get the podcast out there. Damon, check this one out. This is the new one here. Has the whole crew on there. This is the one we are giving away this week. The winner. Drum roll, please. Miguel Morales. Great job. Thank you very much for getting that out there on Facebook. You can also get into the drawing if you're on Twitter or any of the other platforms. We will be giving away another one of the shirts. All the designs are on twinstore.com if you want to go purchase one, including the new one by Cole Barons, which turned out pretty dang cool.
Yeah.
Has us on it, so you know it's obviously cool. So go on there, check that out. This week on the podcast, though, Dane Nielsen back on.
Back on. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great to have you, Dane. You've been on for a couple big episodes. You were on for the 20s episode. Family, the parents getting involved in youth sports, and then you're on for the Molly Tibbetts episode.
Oh, Molly Tibbetts, yep.
a couple big episodes.
Big episodes.
Yeah.
21 was full of knowledge. Go back and check that one out.
I was going to say the 20s podcast was a really good one. That one really took off, so go check that one out. Also, the Molly Tibbetts one really took off, so go check that one out. So every time Dane comes on, we seem to get a lot of people, so I call it the Dane Nielsen effect.
Ooh, I might be pushing our luck with this one. So,
good to have you though, Dane. And
Thank you.
For people that don't know, Dane is actually your position's changed, and I can't remember exactly from what we talked about last time. You're going to be assistant principal.
Assistant principal at the elementary, pre-K 5, and then activities director for Windermere Schools.
You're still doing the activities director.
Yep.
Wow, busy guy.
Busy guy. Lots of fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Dane, for continuing to come back on here. Got
Thanks for
something
having
new
me.
this week. Most podcasts have some kind of sponsor, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have a
John
sponsor.
Silver's.
So my dad came up with an idea here. It's called the non-sponsors, all right? So we have these cards here. These are wacky packages. So they're not real companies. They're not real things. So we're going to pick 4 of these out that are going to be the sponsors, and you have to improv an ad for these fake companies. So there's a variety.
The surprises right away. I like it.
A variety of different sponsors here. So Dane, if you want to grab one, and you can check it out, and then Damon, you can grab one. Maybe not show.
Don't look.
Maybe not show everyone what you got. Adam.
Let me grab that.
And then I'm gonna grab one here. Oh, okay. We'll start off here with. I don't know who wants to start off.
I'm reading mine.
It's the one that has the sticker on the side, not the
the one with the sticker?
Yeah. You have the. Okay, so what you want to do here, Damon, is come up with a fake sponsored ad.
Today's episode is brought to you by.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. You want me to go first?
Go first if you'd like.
All right. Today's episode is brought to you by Dr. Shell's Massaging Jellyfish Sting Therapy Foot Soles.
Can we see that over here for the camera?
If you like walking on the beach, like going on dates, just picture yourself walking down and the beach, Love Island maybe, and your feet feel way too comfortable and you want to put a little excitement into your date.
Oh.
Buy a pair of Massaging Jellyfish Sting Therapy soles and get moving fast.
Wow.
Wow,
that sounds like an
that
intriguing.
set the bar.
That is tough. Adam, what do you got over there?
Well,
Start off
since
with
you're
this
asking,
episode is brought to you by.
This episode is brought to you by Mountain Doom for people who are extremely dumb. I'll give you that for the camera. How many energy drinks can you say make you feel smarter? Probably all of them, right? Wrong. None of them. Mountain Doom will have you falling to dangerous heights upwards.
Holy cow.
Confusing
Nice
enough,
done.
just like our drink. There we go.
I'm buying a case.
Is that the Dollar General brand of Mountain Dew?
This is actually the
Or Walmart?
It is actually the Dollar Common.
Dollar Common. Oh, wow. Okay.
Look at that.
Do we get to keep these? and
Back-to-back
start a
fake
collection?
off brand.
There you go.
Thanks, Rick.
Dane, what do you got? What do you got for us, Dane?
Today's episode is brought to you by
I like it.
Smuggler's Stowaway Jam. Anytime you're in the deep heart of Denver, Colorado, and want to smuggle a little bit of that wacky weed back to Minnesota, think of Smuggler's Stowaway Jam to get that weed where you want it to go.
Can we look at this one
There
here?
you go.
Oh,
That's
okay.
good.
That was a good one. Wow. And this one, he is robbing from a innocent woman. Unbelievable.
Nice. These remind me of Garbage Pail Kid
Looks
cards.
like you went through airport security on that one. That's a scary topic right there.
That is.
All right. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Chia Pest. We all remember back in the day when you wanted to grow something at home. Well, did you ever want to grow a chia pest? Well, now you can. These destructive plagues can be grown in your home. Quarantine kits sold separately. You're going to want a lot of them because they fully infest in 1 to 2 weeks and they reproduce by masturbation. So come on.
Does it say that on the card?
No, that's from that's from Fletch. If you've ever seen Fletch before.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, those are the ones that are brought to you. The podcast is brought to you by those. So that is a idea came up with by my dad. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was
very good.
Maybe we'll
Good
continue
idea.
that. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Dane's gonna be getting phone calls. You have time
Hopefully
to work
not.
at KDOM too, like.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Yeah, this week on we were talking about KDOM when we were talking about that last time on the podcast, or we were talking about it afterwards, Adam. We were talking about Colin.
When you worked there, Adam.
Yeah, it was at McDonald's after the last podcast.
yeah,
we were
yeah.
talking. What show was that? Auction Block.
Oh,
Colin,
yeah.
the auction
Oh
block.
yeah,
Supply
making
item
requests too on
and
KDOM
everything.
when you
Yeah.
can make live requests.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Radio. This is a separate topic, but radio, is it dying or is it something that is going to always be around, like newspapers?
Formats will probably change, but I think it'll always be around as long as there's airwaves and they do it. And like some people like listening to, NPR sounds really good on radio, but now you can listen to it on podcasts, so you should do both.
True, yeah.
But I listen to Wait, Don't Tell Me like sometimes on my way up to
Oh,
Mankato.
yeah, yep.
Like it's kind of a fun like game show type thing if I'm flipping around and don't like any music on or.
I went to
have a
that
CD
live
or-
in Chicago.
You did?
Yeah.
For real? Was it
Yeah,
cool?
pretty cool,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Or for emergency situations too, they have to keep that analog open.
They have to keep, they have to keep. But like, will there always be radio shows and
People buying ads and
music
stuff.
and stuff like that? Yeah, I don't know. Something to think about.
In my time, there will be.
You think?
Yes.
it'll be
be
after
in my
you.
lifetime.
And
Yeah.
after
If
you.
it isn't, it'll be after me. You know.
Like no ads will be sold. They'll just be like.
Well, the school did a little survey. It was about a year or 2 years ago, and talking about where most residents of Windham are getting their information about what's going on at school. And it was kind of overwhelming how many residents or people in the area were getting their information from the Cottonwood County Citizen.
Really?
Yes, on
I thought you were gonna say
what's
Facebook.
going on and what's going on in education, things like that. So it was actually a little bit of a surprise. And that, like I said, that was probably about a year and a half ago
Year
they
and a
did
half
that.
ago? Huh.
It was right during that referendum time.
Oh, sure.
When they were doing
Yep.
they spent about 2 or 3 years gathering information, making sure this was going to be a go and stuff.
Yep,
But
yep.
part of
Huh.
that was the information, and I was shocked at the amount of people
Yeah.
that get their news and information about what is going on in the community from Cottonwood County Citizen. It's a lot, considering all of these other things that we've talked about. whether it's Facebook or digital
Twitter,
media,
or
Twitter,
any of
social
the-
media,
yeah.
all of it.
Huh. Well, we almost got sued for last week's podcast. I forgot to tell you guys about this.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
We played a video in the podcast. It was the motorcycles driving by the Area 51 gate or up to it, and we got a takedown notice for it, and so I repealed it, which I do every week. We always have to repeal them because it's a copyright violation. I repeal it. Say we have the permission to use it under fair use law. We can comment on it and we can criticize it. That's an actual fair use law. So I repealed it. They got back to me, said, no, you cannot watch this under fair use law. So I repealed it a second time, which means YouTube goes over it. And I got an email saying you have 5 days to take this video down or you'll be hearing from our legal team. And so I responded asking, why can't you see that this is fair use? And they said, take the video down. Otherwise, we will pursue a lawsuit. Because every one of these videos or whatever gets monetized, and they want to bring in as much money as possible. It's called Viral Hog is the company. Not a big fan, so they were not happy about it, and they literally threatened legal action.
What'd you have to do? Is it still up?
I had to repeal. I had to take my repeal back. So now they make all the money off the video. So we cannot monetize it.
Oh.
Yeah, which isn't a huge deal, but it's just like, you'd think that every other time we get repeals on, I repeal every copyright thing we get on every video.
Is it mostly when you watch stuff on YouTube, like whatever someone else has privilege of having or posting? Like
It just copyright. Yeah, like
Copy, yeah.
yeah, like the copyright. They own the copyright to that video. We watched the video in our podcast, and they had to ask, "Is it being transformed?"
We'll just have to start like reshooting the videos, watch it, and then shoot it ourselves. Like,
act them all out. Adam pulls up to some back county road in a
On my
moped.
moped.
well, we somewhere at McDonald's, we should have been recording like the stories we were hearing because we heard another Wilder Demon story. We was like, oh, we should be recording this, and then
Oh,
we
yeah.
can, like play those like live clips on.
You got any Wilder Demon stories, Dane?
No, I do not.
You never have ran into anything, seen any weird creatures around Wyndham going towards Worthington?
Going towards Worthington? No.
Nothing?
And I drove that for 8 years when I worked at Heron Lake,
Oh,
Okabena
really?
as teacher,
Dang
going
it.
through there.
That kind of disproves.
Maybe it was during the day. Well, it was at
Nothing.
night probably a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, it was all hours, early in the morning, a lot of late nights coming home, and sometimes, just daylight normal, but no, unfortunately not.
Dang.
I had someone come to me 2 weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago, and she told me that her friend told her story after seeing the podcast, like that it just happened like
Really?
right before that. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, you're making me nervous because, we're building a house on String Lakes, and really that's not too far away from Wilder.
True.
That could be our
True.
address, Wilder.
Watch
and
out
stuff,
out
so
there.
that area.
Things
We have to do a podcast out
great.
there.
lingering
Yeah.
around that area. I don't know.
Interesting.
It ran into my car, ran into Adam's car, ran into Kathy's car. Like, we've heard from a number of people. Another girl from Wyndham saw it on the side of the road. Just a giant winged creature. It's not a bird. It's too big to be a bird. It's got to be a demon. So,
Can't let the kids play outside anymore.
It's gotta be.
No
gotta
other
be a demon.
explanation. It's either
Yeah.
a bird or a demon.
well, speaking of things that don't have explanations, the topic of the week, cults. So that is what we're talking about, and I thought a good one to start us off would be one of the most popular of all time, Jim Jones and the People's Temple, if we're not talking about Scientology. But we're talking about Jim Jones and the People's Temple. That is the second smallest cult I could come up with here. So what do you guys know about this? Dane,
Oh,
you were alive when this happened.
very.
Actually,
very
no, wait a
little.
minute, wait a
Now
minute.
that I know what the topic
It started
is,
in the 50s. When did
This
when
is-
did it go
no, no.
down?
Yeah, I
the
wasn't-
drain? 78.
wasn't born in
No,
the
70s.
50s.
70s. Late 70s.
78,
Late
78,
70s.
78, yeah.
I got bad news for you. That's the year I was born. So.
It came from you.
My
You
bad.
made it out. You.
My bad. I'm thinking of the Hale Bob comet, the Heaven's Gate. That was 98. I'm thinking of that one.
Oh, yeah.
This one's
That was the
78.
Nikes.
yeah.
You want to talk about David Koresh and stuff like that?
We did a
That's
whole
one of my-
We did a whole
yeah,
episode on
episode
that
on
one.
Koresh.
Yeah, that's a big
I've,
cult.
I've been there.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
well, tell us about that. How was that?
Well,
Because
let's not.
okay.
We don't need to change the subject.
No,
now,
I mean
but
we're talking. That was a
crazy.
cult. That was a cult.
Because that was a big cult back when I was in school. When Damon and I
Yeah,
were in
I
school,
remember.
it was big time, and there was news on that all the time, and with ATF involved, everything
Oh,
going
yeah.
on, and
Yeah.
it was just crazy.
We
hearing
probably watched
about
it in
that.
civics class. We probably watched like the
yeah.
live feeds
the
and-
lot, and then the burning down of the place
Yeah.
and everything that happened. And
Yep.
there was just so much news about that growing up. We it was about 3 years ago. We ran down to Waco during kind of little Easter break or something,
Yep.
and it was to see Magnolia Lane. Down the Chip and
Oh, yeah,
Joanna
yeah.
Gaines and that
Yeah.
stuff. And
Magnolia Lane.
went down with my family, the Magnolia Farms or whatever it is. Not
remake
Lane.
houses.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, you
gotcha.
know, on HGTV.
Yep.
But we're in Waco, and
Yeah.
when I hear Waco, I only
David Koresh.
think of two things: Baylor University and David Koresh, the Branch Davidians,
Branch Davidian.
because that was just craziness. So we had a few extra minutes, and I said to Kylie, "You want to jump in the car and just go see where this thing was?" And I kid you not, we're going, and I plop it in the old Google on the phone,
Yep.
and it leads us out there. I'm like, "Where are we going?"
Way
We're
out in
on
the middle of
Yeah,
nowhere?
we're going out towards who knows where, middle of
Yeah.
nowhere. And Kylie's like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Not such a good idea. But it's daytime. No, wait, I'm going to see this place.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
we get out there on the gravel road, and everything is still marked out, labeled. The house that the undercover agents were in is, literally right
Really?
there. We're sitting there, and there is still people in the Branch Davidian. It's gated there.
No.
And there are signs. Yes, I took pictures, and it was so eerie in
Yeah,
the
it
feeling.
sounds like it.
was just like, I don't know why, if it was just
Wow.
because of
Yeah.
being in school when
Yeah.
all that happened. Kylie's like, all right, let's get out of here. Because then somebody came out and was kind of looking, and you're just out in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
we'll turn
Wait,
and
so
go.
hold on a minute. There's people that survived and are still
There's people that are still living on that property
that practice
that are practicing that.
Davidian.
Yes.
And probably look at that incident as like the
Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus and the 12, David and the 12 disciples.
Yeah, craziness.
So they burned down their main facility, but people have rebuilt on that property.
Yeah, and there was other facilities, smaller ones on that property, and
Wow.
it was interesting.
Is there any tourist feel at all? Like do
No,
people
no,
actually
no,
go?
no.
Like no one's making T-shirts like
Zero tourist feel.
Visit the gift shop on the way.
Zero
out.
shot, like-
That yeah, and I wondered. I was like, I've got to, is this landmarked? Is there something there? And there was just the Branch Davidian sign. This is ours. There's little
Wow.
gates, and then outside of the gate there was a house. And I remember seeing it like the ATF agents or whoever was undercover for
Yep.
so long watching this place in that house, and that was still there.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Well, we're gonna
It was-
get into.
It was eerie and
That
creepy.
sounds eerie. And we'll get into Jim Jones, but I mean, even up north, like you got to be careful, like
Yeah.
or not be careful, but people buy land, and all of a sudden you see all this activity, like what's going on over there? Oh, they're putting in a sect of some cult, like.
Yep.
And you can watch them do it, and then you're just like, okay, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing
Well,
you can do.
nothing you
No.
can do.
No.
Well, it's weird you talk about there's not really anything like touristy about it or whatever
No.
because there's nothing at the Guyana site either for this. I looked it up and like it's just jungle. Like there's no remembering.
Yep.
It's like people try to forget about this stuff.
Yes, sure.
And it's not. And the funniest part is me and Adam were watching the documentary and above the their like meeting area it says what was the quote? Something about
It was those who do not learn history are condemned to repeat it. And
Sure, yeah.
It was
It's
just so
ironic.
fitting.
Yeah.
So fitting.
because the pictures with all the bodies. Actually, we have the picture on here. We
Yep.
have the picture. It's all the bodies laying there and the signs right there.
Well, he up and left the United States, and then
Yeah,
took him to a whole.
and we'll get into details too. But let's see if we can find the picture quick. We don't have to look at all of them, but
Oh, right here.
But yeah, this was in the 70s, right? I mean, I don't
Yep,
know much about this.
1970s.
I mean, this is where the
80s,
Kool-Aid thing came from.
Yep.
Don't drink the
those who do not remember the
Remember the
past,
past,
are
that's what it
condemned to repeat it. And there's all the bodies there. So for people wondering, don't know anything about this, Jim Jones was a very enthusiastic, almost like mega church pastor, like that feel. Like when we were watching him speak, he just has that like,
Like twang almost.
yeah,
Or like,
you need me right now.
Yes.
You need me in your life,
uh-huh.
like that. And he gets really riled up, and somehow he gets a large following. That's a big question. I was wondering. Maybe you guys have an answer to it. Why are people drawn? Maybe the 70s. This is all during wartime, and the United States involved in a lot of war. Do people just flock to a figure like him because he has like an overall goal, or he has happiness, positivity, whatever you want to call it? Is that why people flock to somebody crazy? Obviously crazy when you watch it now. But, I mean, why would all the hundreds of people, 900 people, and at the height of his cult, he had like 20,000 members. Why are all these people, that's what he claims, why are all these people flocking to this guy who clearly has mental problems? He's not
This
all
is
there.
deja vu because I feel like we had this discussion because what's popping into my head is feeling like people looking for something don't feel a part of something, lost themselves, want to feel
Exactly.
part of.
Yeah, they want to
part of
fill a
connection,
void.
a void.
I mean, there's something missing, and they want that connection. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just human, not necessarily to be in a cult, but to want to be a part of something.
Oh, yeah.
just to have that. I don't know if you want to call it friendship in this case, but just to have the
camaraderie.
camaraderie to be around people. And I would guess many of the people in any of these instances at the time they joined or started to kind of slowly hook on, they were probably going through something in life that
Lower
maybe
time
was
of their life.
it was a rough time, rough patch.
Yeah.
And I would say you guys probably, I don't know much about that, but those are probably the people they pick on too.
Prey on.
Like him,
Prey on
they're
him.
going to prey on, and then he's got his few that he preyed on.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Yep.
just that triangle, it kind of keeps working down
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they keep
You kind of get
adding
your friends
more.
and your
Yes,
family
so
involved.
then you keep,
yeah.
And then it's just,
They didn't really talk about how he got members. Did they, Adam, at all? They didn't really talk about like the
No, well, 'cause
acquisition of.
I think that it was just people of that big following that he had that actually like were extreme enough in their beliefs, or I guess needing this to fill in or fit in. I mean, and they just took that to the next level, and obviously a little bit too far. At the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll throw in drugs too. I think drugs have a part of it. Like I think with this one, if I remember right, there is LSD involved, where you're trying to open yourself up to like spiritual worlds or new things too, and
A lot of drugs
whacking
involved,
whacking your brain out, and lack of having a strong will about yourself, like we just said, and add those all together. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Did it say anything about LSD in the documentary you guys watched?
They talked about
his drug usage.
His drug usage, but also forcing members of the cult to do drugs as well, like involuntarily.
Yeah.
Like they would just do it to them, punishment, almost as like a punishment.
Because it's sad when you think a lot of, like, when some of them figure it out, they feel trapped still. Because I remember, when you watch some of those video footages and you see the kids in there and they don't have a say
No,
in
they
it
don't.
at all.
They don't.
And, some of them maybe want to, but you just can't leave.
No, and that we'll talk about that as well. I'm going to kind of just go into a little background here. So the People's Temple was founded in Indianapolis in 1955. 1965, they moved to Redwood Valley, California, because they were getting criticized so heavily for their very non-traditional religious practices. The headquarters moved to San Francisco in the 70s. They had like 3 different churches in California at that point in like the 70s, and then that's when the investigation started. 1973, negative newspaper articles were coming out after people escaped the cult and were talking about how Jim Jones was sexually abusing them, physically abusing them, drugging kids. He was making people stay and not being able to leave, and so he literally felt like the only way to escape all the criticism was to leave the United States.
Which is the main tip-off if you're in a religion, or they get to know if you're getting a little too deep, it's when they don't let you leave.
Well, and here's what he told them. He told them that the United States is becoming racist and the KKK is going to take over, and 60% of the people in the People's Temple were African American. So it was a minority. And so all
Was he
these
going to be
people,
indicted too, or was he under investigation? Like
he
that
was under
time?
investigation.
You got to
yeah.
flee the
Yep.
country.
Yeah, it was, but he didn't tell people that. It was more under the guise that we need to leave before all of you get killed anyway by the white supremacist. And so he's saying he made them call him dad or father, and well, first of all, he bought this land in Guyana. I couldn't remember.
Guyana, I think.
Guyana, which is South America. And he picked that because it's easy. There was a number of reasons. It was easy to work with the United States to extradite people there and stuff. So 500 people went down there, began construction. Literally, we watched it in the middle of the jungle. They built this thing
absolutely middle of nowhere,
hundreds of miles. Like it was
so
way
remote,
out there in the middle of nowhere. And then he moved in the summer of 1977. Jones and several hundred temple members moved to the Jonestown, which would complete all of the people going there. So at the height of Jonestown, there was 900 and almost 1,000 people living in the jungle out there in Jonestown. And it was interesting that how they had it set up or whatever. It seemed like a summer camp. Like when we were watching the documentary on it, they all were in, and there's quite a bit of footage, like real footage of this. The documentary has like the reenactment, and then they have actual footage because Jim Jones was open to the members going around videotaping, and somehow when everything went down, they got the footage, and so now it's on YouTube freely. You can watch it. And he was giving a tour of their farm because they had to be self-sufficient out there. Yeah. And so he's giving a tour of like all the dorm style living. And I'm pretty sure husbands, wives, and kids had to be separated. You had to kind of like free yourself because it was a communist or like socialist. You had to kind of give up everything for the freedom. For the good of everyone.
Jim Jones.
For the good of Jim Jones. And it was just weird. They were interviewing people, and you could just clearly tell it was so staged. Like, I love it here. This is my favorite place. I'm so happy. Right. And you're like,
Very
what kind
scripted.
What kind of drugs are these people on where they are like being forced to say stuff like that, And
like, what are they going to escape to when he moves them there? You know, like they're surrounded by jungle, right?
The only way in and out of there was the town's 5 miles away from a dirt airstrip, and that is like 100 miles away from Georgetown. And that's the closest anything of like the closest to civilization you're going to get. So there's no way for them to just like, oh, well, we should leave. Let's hop in a car and get out of here. No one had cars. Literally the only way in and out of there is an airplane, and you're 5 miles away from it. And so I think that's when people got out there and he promised them it was going to be like, he used the word paradise, and it was going to be like heaven, and everyone's going to work together, and we're going to be like a giant family. And then I think when people got out there is when they realized, spent a month out there.
There's a Ja Rule. I should make a joke. What I call it, Ja Rule concert.
This is the real fire festival out here. I think people realize like, oh crap, this is not really what I wanted at all. Like we need to go. And then when Leo Ryan, the congressman, I don't know if you knew about that, the congressman Leo Ryan, organized a plane out there to go try to rescue these people. That's where things really went downhill. But before we get into that, talking about these people and why, I don't know, I just can't wrap my head around why you'd leave the United States with this guy. Like, it's just so clearly, I know people want to fit in, and we talked about it like that, but why would anyone ever leave even if my church, or I went to a church and I wanted it to, or if they wanted me to leave the United States and move out to this place, I wouldn't do it. Like, I can't wrap my head around why all these people, 900 people would go do that with him. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You can blame it on drugs, you can blame it on whatever, but there's got to be something else. This guy's got to be brainwashing people. I don't know if that's a possibility.
That would be thrown in there, yeah.
Brainwashing people, but can you make someone physically get up and move? They're that into it, like they're that brainwashed where, I'm gonna hop on a plane or however they got down there, and I'm gonna get down there to this place, and I'm like, literally, this is where I'm gonna be for the rest of my life. Like, I can't wrap my head around it.
See, I mean, and I think that's kind of who we've surrounded ourselves with and where we've grown up and what our experiences it is. But there are, when people just feel helpless and hopeless and have nothing, and there might even be on the brink of suicide to start with, or just the bottom of where they've been, or just feel like they have nothing or don't have any direction in life or feel like they don't have a purpose. I mean, that's when those guys are preying on them to join, to give them power, because the more followers they have, the more power they get. I mean, they're fulfilling that in themselves, being a cult leader. But so it's tough to like wrap your head around. Yes, but it's if you're promising paradise or like, let's go to this island and you're gonna live better than you've ever lived before, just saying that stuff. Yeah. I mean, you start hearing that, and then more and more people start joining. You're like, hey, this is a great idea because they like to do it. They're gonna do it, and now I'm a part of something. And now I don't see the same views as you guys. Because I'm right, you're wrong. You're not gonna change my mind.
Yep. Well, and it probably helped if you had like a buddy or a family member who was going, and everyone's talking about it, and you're like, geez, I mean, I kind of want to follow my family and see what this place is all about. I mean, I can understand why you'd like go with family or friends and be more.
Or those younger kids, even teenagers who don't have a chance and have to go with, or they're even a father or a mother who's persuasive in the whole family dynamics, and like get one and go. Or like maybe a father. I'll take a father's example, or maybe I'll take the woman, and then like Jim Jones. I don't know if he preyed on guys or women. I don't know.
I think both. I think both. Yeah.
So like one makes a connection, the other one doesn't want to lose their spouse, so then they jump on board even if they feel like they shouldn't, and then it kind of escalates. So.
And the weird thing. Oh, were you gonna say, Adam?
No, you're good. You can.
No, you go. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, what I was gonna say is that I feel like people are so desperate to find answers, like to questions that are pretty like commonly like referred to as like unanswered questions, or like just things that nobody has like a firm answer to. And he was a guy, he claimed he was a prophet and that he had all the answers. And I think people kind of found like a sense of security in him. Like,
that's a good word.
Yeah, because like he, supposedly, like knew everything,
And the healings.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He staged like fake healings. Like somebody who would claim to have like just broken their leg the day before.
Yeah.
He'll like just like tap on their leg or whatever, cut the cast off, and then she's like literally running around the room, jumping up and down, and then
they showed
and
that.
so many
they knock
people
them over, like
shut up.
No, just like the powers that be, and then bam, and then they're like fixed, and they.
I mean, like the mega churches, are like, in the name of the Lord, and they grab their head thrown. That's another Fletch 2 reference there.
I saw a special on that where how they put an earpiece in those ears, and there'd be a lady reading them the cards of what the ladies had, like, okay, this lady has a bum knee.
Yeah, because when they walk in, they're like, do you have any prayer requests?
And then, then they would take that, and they had the radio connecting to them so they could do it. And
the weird part about this whole thing is, during this documentary, they interviewed this guy's son. The son survived. He was out there, and when they called to do suicide, he left. He fled. And he's alive today. He has 3 kids. And they interviewed him for the documentary. I couldn't imagine if your dad was like an evil, horrible person, there's how you could. But he was like really open during the interview about everything. And he talked about how he said he knew from day one that his dad was evil. Like his dad just had
something wrong with him.
Something wrong with him, yeah. And he could just see his dad getting more and more sick. The drugs, the temper, everything was just piling up and piling up and piling up. And it just didn't, something wasn't right to him. And the fact that he can come out today and talk about it so open is, mind-boggling to me, because I'm sure you can't. What's your family story? You heard the saying, "Don't drink the Kool-Aid." Yeah. It's because my dad. I don't know. I mean, how do you? it's crazy stuff. And this guy just talked about how they when they did the recreation and everything, I felt like the kid's mom was like, the guy, Jim Jones' wife, she was kind of like, she could see it in her husband too. But she ended up committing suicide as well. So I don't know if
she also had no choice though.
Manipulative, yeah. At that point,
I mean, because he was saying that she had tried to fight it, but I mean, even if you do like fight it off and get away, it's gonna be miles before you get anywhere, you know, and you're gonna die by then anyway, you know.
Yeah, there's nothing and when it got to that point, for people that don't know, what happened at the end was Leo Ryan, the congressman, brought like 15 family members who were worried about their family members in the Guyana camp. He brought
Did he brought some reporters?
Yeah, he brought reporters too. A lot of people were killed. 2 reporters were killed. Leo Ryan was killed when they were leaving because he showed up to Guyana and he just wanted to go in there and just see, is everyone all right? Like, are people being held against their free will? Can they actually leave? And so he went to Guyana, and they literally were like, "You're not coming in. No one's coming in." And he was warning. Jim Jones was practicing these white night rehearsals, is what they called, which they'd ring like a air raid sound, like, and then he'd say white night rehearsal, and they'd all come out to the pavilion, and he'd practice handing them out red punch, and he'd say, "This is what happens if we were to get something were to go down. You'd all take this. This is your show me your dedication." They would do these practices so that they knew what would happen. So Leo Ryan shows up. They finally let him come down. He's interviewing everyone, and everything seems to be going really well. Like, people seem to like it there. But the thing is, Jim Jones brought everyone to the pavilion a couple nights before, and he did practice questions like, "Tell me what you like about Jonestown." And they're like, "Well, I love it here. It's my favorite place." And he's like, "Well, do you have any issues with it?" And if someone had an issue, he'd be like, no, just tell them you don't have any issues with it. Or is there any, you know, he'd doctor them so that all their questions were...
Prep them up,
yeah. So that he'd be like, pass, and then he'd send the next person. They went through everybody. So when Leo Ryan showed up, everyone is given the same answers. Like, "I love this place. It's like heaven. All my family's here. I never want to leave." And then someone slips him a note, or a newspaper reporter a note that says, "Help, we want to leave." So then they find this guy, and they're like, "All right, you can come with us." And they tell Jim Jones, and he at first is like, "Okay." And then slowly more and more people want to come. They end up getting 15 members that want to leave. And so that next day, when they're all leaving, there's kind of a little scuffle. Jim Jones is getting a little agitated that like people want to leave. Like, he felt like they were going to be with him forever. So things kind of go down, and they get to the airstrip, and Jim Jones sent a truck with a bunch of gunmen. We can actually pull this up. The video's on here. They have this actual video. They send a tractor down there with a bunch of gunmen, and you can kind of see what happens. Is this video? Yeah. This is unbelievable that you can actually watch this. You're going to have to skip in a little bit, Adam. We could kind of watch when they're all boarding the plane.
Yep.
So this is the airstrip here.
I would say just some backstory on this.
Oh, wait, this might be before they even get to Guyana. This might be in Georgetown.
Is it?
I think so.
Do you see the video of Tony Stewart punching someone in Jackson?
Yeah. Separate quick.
Oh, here we go.
Make this full screen, Adam. What were you going to say, a little backstory?
Oh, yeah, some backstory on this. So this was after the congressman had gotten the 15 people, and then, like, the NBC cameramen, the reporters. So they were all getting ready to go back to this airstrip and leave. But Jim Jones sends in this attack or whatever that you'll see, because he didn't want word to get back to the States of how, like, the conditions really were, because he knew that the people that were escaping, you know, would tell everything. Yeah. And obviously Jim Jones knew what he was doing was wrong.
What do they call them? Defectors or whatever?
Yep,
the people
defectors.
Defectors. Mm-hmm. He sent in a fake defector who was like, "I want to leave. I want to get out of here." But he had a gun on him. And he somehow got, like, they patted everyone down. They never found the gun. When he got on the plane, he shot a bunch of people, because there was 2 planes. He shot a bunch of people on the one plane. They pulled the tractor in front of the other plane, and then you could kind of see what happens here.
Yeah, they brought in the trailer to block the
runway.
The runway so that the plane couldn't take off.
And then they started shooting. There's Leo Ryan right there.
Right here.
I can't believe this footage survived. It's crazy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, everyone's in line getting ready to get
See
on
that
the
guy
airplane.
standing there with a gun to the right?
Yeah.
right there. And then it's going to cut really quick to the shooting.
Yeah, those camera guys, they don't put the camera down.
No, he died holding the camera.
Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a tractor pulling up then.
Yeah, you can. So there's the tractor. And that's all the footage there is of the shooting. So he was laying on the ground holding the camera, and then it shut off. So they ended up shooting a bunch of people. I think they killed 4 people. Word gets back to Jim Jones that it's been taken care of, and that's when he goes like crazy. Like he's like, we need. He gathers everyone. They play the White Knights rehearsal or the White Knight sound. Everyone comes to the pavilion, and then he gives his speech, which we have on here actually too.
Oh really?
I thought I had it on here somewhere. I thought it was under. You can look it up on YouTube. Otherwise, if it's not on there, I thought I downloaded it. The whole speech, though, that he gave before they committed suicide is on YouTube. It's like 45 minutes long. Obviously, we're not going to listen to the whole thing, but
sure?
You can hear him in his final moments talking and convincing. You can hear kids crying and like they didn't want to do it. It's just brutal stuff. Yeah, like it was obviously there's a lot of people. When we watched the documentary, they did the kids first, and that's how it was in real life. They just like put it in their mouth, made them swallow it, and then it's cyanide. So I mean, at 5 to 20 minutes, they're gone. It's only audio though. There's no.
That has to be a painful death too. Drinking.
Oh,
like,
it's
burning up your
horrible.
insides.
It's horrible. Yeah, Jim Jones.
Your final speech.
Just do audio. Just do Jim Jones audio. It'll come up.
Just so we get an idea of who he is and what he sounded like.
Yeah.
Like, we're not gonna watch.
No, we're not watching 45.
It's the top one, I assume.
Yeah, it's any of them.
Inappropriate and offensive.
Viewer discretion is advised.
How far in do you want me to go?
You could just skip in a little bit, like halfway maybe.
What's that?
You're all individual. Like, that's what you're saying.
That's what I said today. That's what 20 people said today with their lives.
I think I still have a right to my own opinion.
I'm not taking it from you.
This is the girl standing up for her life. She's trying to stay alive.
You're only standing here because he was here in the first place. So I don't know what you're talking about, having an individual life. Your life has been extended to the day that you're standing there because of him.
Voice back there, she has as much right to speak to anybody else, too. What'd you say, Luby? Well, you'll regret that this very day if you don't die. You'll regret it if you don't die. You'll regret it.
Too many people.
I saved them, but I made my example. I made my expression. I made my manifestation, and the world was not ready for me. Paul said I was a man born out of due season. I've been born out of due season just like all we are, and the best testimony we can make is to leave this goddamn world.
So you can hear everyone there was like pretty enthusiastic about it, which that just shows the level of like how far away they are from reality.
Yeah, delusion.
Yeah, everyone's cheering about actually being ready to, just about to commit suicide. And they talk about how there was a girl at the house in Georgetown. They had like a mansion in Georgetown where they handled all their like foreign relations. There was a girl in Georgetown when Jim Jones called and said, it's time to commit suicide, like we're gonna die, and she didn't even like flinch at all, anything. She was ready. She was
just
like
straight face. She's like, okay.
21 years old.
21. And it was like 900 people, right?
918 total died.
And 300 of them were children, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Biggest
1/3 of the
life
whole
loss since 9/11, I think I read
Yep.
somewhere. Is that
Biggest intentional loss of life
loss.
since after 9/11. I don't know if there's been anything to this extent since then. I hope not. That's a crazy amount of people that died. So they drank. These 918 people drank the Flavorade. Kool-Aid is what people think. It's actually Flavorade, the off-brand, mixed with cyanide. And I just did some research to figure out. I think I put it there in the notes, Adam. I was just curious, like what cyanide does to the human body, because I had no idea.
It's gotta be nasty. Did Jones drink it too, or did he shoot himself?
He shot. He
he
had
somebody shoot him in the head because
he's a weak guy. He couldn't even do what he wanted everyone else to do because he knew how painful it was going to be. So he had someone else shoot him in the back of the head. One shot to the head and he was dead. Yeah, that's the article right there.
I I know there's conspiracy theories out there about that too.
Really?
I think, oh yeah.
Well, that he tried
About
escaping
everything.
and
Well, or that he didn't plan on dying and someone probably shot him. But
really.
I mean, there's
Wow.
a conspiracy theory for everything.
Oh, true. So, what is it like to die from cyanide poisoning? Here it is right here from a doctor. It's horrifying. It's not in any way a painless death. The deaths in Jonestown took anywhere between 5 and 20 minutes. First, your entire body starts to convulse. Then your mouth fills with a mixture of saliva, blood, and vomit. Then you pass out, and then you die. Your body is deprived of oxygen completely. It's a horrific death. So I was maybe thinking, I didn't know anything about it, so I was maybe thinking it's like a painless, like you drink it and then you just pass out and you don't wake up. I didn't know there's like something behind it that would actually be painful for kids, so what a sick guy
Yeah.
to think that this is the right way to go out, because he knew he wasn't going to be in trouble and he couldn't be the only one to get in trouble, so everyone had to go down with him,
Yep.
which is what they talked about in the documentary. He knew that it was over for him after he sent those
Yep.
people to kill. The guy that shot those people only got 18 years
Yep.
in prison. He's out. He got out in 2002. The guy, so he's free, just roaming around, whatever. The guy that got in the plane, what he said he was
Killed a
defector.
congressman.
Killed a congressman. He's out. Well, I don't know if he was the one that killed the congressman.
Do
I
they
think-
know if anyone left after, like the guy who shot Jim Jones in the head? Do they know if he left or was he found there too?
I don't know if they know who shot. There was a lot.
They said there was like, was it 16 people that were at Jamestown or Jonestown that survived?
That survived. There was an older, a 72-year-old lady or 76-year-old lady who hid underneath the bed when they committed suicide. And there was a couple other people that hid or ran away before it happened. But the fact that 918 or 900, however many, I know they include like Leo Ryan in that number too, that total deaths. But I know it was like 908.
Sad.
Or
Shows you how
905.
dangerous they are.
Huh?
How dangerous cults are.
Oh yeah,
Like-
yeah. I mean, and that's a big part about this too. Is we talked about why people join them. Is there any modern cults right now that are going on like that people are because there was stuff happened back then with David Koresh and with the Heaven's Gate. We talk about that too. Is there anything modern, like any modern cults right now going on, like in the United States? Because I'm sure, in foreign countries.
In Minnesota.
Yeah, in Minnesota.
Is it really?
Up north.
Oh, yeah.
Where? Wait, you're acting like this is like common. I didn't know anything about this.
Well, no, I mean, just from watching the news. How long ago, Damon, maybe you can help me. I no idea. I just remember a news, because you mentioned it earlier about just a little bit in northern Minnesota.
Yeah.
Some group
In
came
Wisconsin,
in.
too.
Might have been like a polygamist type, 40 acres. They started
Really?
building. These families were coming in. It was kind of a cult type
They're going
thing.
through the
Look at
court
that.
system. They're going
The
They're
through.
very
just
first
on.
one.
Yeah.
They're going through the court systems now too. I think because
Yeah.
they launder money
Yeah.
through businesses into their.
Wow.
Yeah.
into the- and I can't name any. I don't want. I couldn't name any offhand, but
Yeah,
probably
I
there's
can't.
probably tons of them.
I just remember seeing on
and
the news.
till like something drastic like this happens or it starts building up, you don't hear about them till something bad happens.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's a lot of them out there.
I would find it hard to believe in this day and age that there'd be people willing to do that. But this one here, founded in Minnesota in 1965. Are you guys talking about a
Unbelievable.
more recent one?
More
than this?
recent.
More
one, maybe,
recent.
This
of a
might be
group
the
that
same
was
kind of
moving
thing.
in.
Ekankar movement promotes the idea that one can separate their soul from their body and experience the light and sound of God by journeying beyond the mortal form. Wow. What's that video? Does that video
Oh,
talk-
there's some mushrooms that has to do with hallucinating.
see if there's anything in this video.
That helps you get to that
it's
point.
only
I
two
To that
believe,
point,
correct?
I think LSD had a lot to do with Jim Jones and
Yeah, probably. Methamphetamine.
And this is what
Oh,
Path of Ek is all about.
you want to pause
Walking
for a second,
the
Adam,
path.
so that it loads. I just want to make sure. God, they all have these
And
creepy
then just
videos.
Yeah, I
listen.
was
Don't
gonna
look
say.
at him in the
I
eye.
was just gonna
Okay,
say, don't watch. Yeah,
Don't
more
look
than
at,
a
if
minute.
you're watching at home, do not look
Don't
him in the eye.
don't look him in the eye. Just listen.
Okay, we're gonna just listen to it here. Maybe I'll look one eye.
No.
All right, play the video.
Look Dane in the eye though. Just do a close up with Dane while he talks.
Yeah.
To God.
Camera slowly zooms in.
Even more, it's about walking your path to God. Because your path is not my path.
He talks so slow
And
because
my
he's got to come up
path
with all
is
this
not
bull crap.
yours. But that's okay.
I got
Because
a little
when
Minnesota.
God made
That's
you-
I was just gonna
That's
say
okay.
that.
There was just a little bit there.
He made a unique being. You are soul.
You betcha.
You are soul. And that's the identity behind
We're
your
gonna say,
name,
gosh darn it, people like me every time we're together.
behind your physical form,
Because he could totally just turn to the mirror.
behind the comeliness of your face.
All right, get off this.
So a lot of them
This
are
is-
well studied the Bible, and then they twist it to how
They
wanna use it. They'll
it
use the
started
good
off with like
then
Christian.
they feel like they're the God.
Yep.
And
Well, what Jim Jones did, he started off with basic Christian principles, and then he started getting into communist principles, socialist principles, and Soviet Union. They read a lot of Soviet Union books for People's Temple, Scientology. That's
see, and
a
that's what
whole other podcast
that's what I've
topic.
noticed, and from experience too of being around certain people, that you start looking in one direction of a book, then you start reading another book that interests you, then you try to tie them together, then you go off and do another thing, and then you start forming all your theories of what happens, and then
Yeah.
you're like an expert on it because you're just taking all this knowledge and
It's kind of like a
trying to
conspiracy
tie-
theory.
Yeah.
They're coming up with these conspiracy theories about their lives or whatever, because obviously Jim Jones lied about a lot of different things, saying he was visited by God or he's a Messiah and he's a prophet and all this stuff. Obviously, none of that ever happened. And his son even said he was a pathological liar, just lied to everybody about everything. But he knew he was doing it, and he was just trying to cover himself up, and a lie leads to another lie, which leads to another lie. So I don't know. They're definitely these people who run these things have issues with themselves, and it's sad they got to bring other people down with them when they do downfall. Kind of like the Heaven's Gate. We could talk about that too. Heaven's Gate, 1998. You know anything about this one?
I'm not as familiar with. I actually know more about the
Oh,
Jones
really?
one a little
Really?
bit just from history.
I just remember
but
the
Heaven's Gate. I don't
Heaven's
remember.
That's the
Gate's
Nikes and
weird. The
Nikes
Nikes.
and the purple sheets.
Yeah, some weird stuff. I have a well, before we do that, go back
the
to the
bunk beds.
files. Hale Bob Comet is what they were worried about. Go back to the pictures.
Oh yeah.
You know about that? The
Yeah,
Hale
now
Bob
that you say
Comet?
that, yeah.
Go
Oh,
through
that's
these
right,
pictures.
that was
quick.
gonna
These are
come.
some crazy
Which
pictures
ones?
here. Just start with the first one.
Did you ever see The Simpsons where they join a cult and Homer joins a cult and they're building a spaceship and they're going to fly off and they all worship a bean?
Really?
He's like, the leader bean.
Here,
It's like, not a leader.
do you know how to? Okay, so I gotta watch that one. I've never seen it. So here's some pictures from Jamestown, just to really hit home here. This is a craziness. Just look at the bodies lined up. These are real pictures, not from the TV show or whatever. So go through these here, Adam. We looked at that one already. There's a couple of pictures, like close-ups of different things. Like these are more bodies, but there's a shot of all these Soviet Union books in here that they read, because he was really pushing Soviet principles and stuff. There's a couple more pictures of everyone.
See, and that's
out
where the
there.
fine line is. 'Cause I think we talked about, or once we talked about, maybe that was the crush one, the fine line between the government coming in and stepping in and like what rights you have to do this stuff.
Yeah,
and
we
you have to
did.
protect
Yeah.
people, and like this is what happens obviously when it goes too far. And like,
Yep.
how could you try to prevent this to make sure? I mean,
How
really
could-
good
yeah.
surveillance against nowadays. Like maybe that's why we don't hear as many big ones go up. And when you do catch them, like up in Wisconsin, Minnesota, you're like following the money trails and you're
Yep.
taking them and you're trying to get to them before they can do.
Yep. Did you see that girl was in a blanket? That
I
was
hate
kinda
looking at
creepy.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're that girl right there.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. There's some. Keep going.
Bodies.
There's the
Oh,
book.
yep.
So a bunch of Soviet Union, USSR. All these books were collected. There's another picture on here I have where they have all their passports put together. There it is, right there. He collected all the passports from everyone so that no one could leave. So even if you did get out, like you're stuck, you'd need the United States help to free you from this. What's the picture right to the left, Adam, of that one?
I think that's all the cyanide stuff.
Is it? Bottle? Okay, and people might be wondering, how did they get such a huge amount of cyanide? He ordered this over the course of 2 years. He ordered it every month, small amounts, knowing that this was going to happen eventually, but the reasoning was to clean gold, because you can use cyanide to clean gold, apparently. There's the plane, the Guyana Airways plane that Leo Ryan was boarding when he got shot. And then that's the cover of Newsweek after the thing happened. This was on the cover of Time magazine a couple times, apparently.
That's a real cover.
This is a real cover,
It's
yeah.
an odd graphic, not
This
graphic,
is the
but
70s, remember?
yeah.
Yeah.
Flashy. I don't know. Kind of crazy stuff. But to kind of go into another call, the Heaven's Gate, I have the website. The website's
Font.
still...
I meant font.
Oh, font. Okay. The website is still active right now. Like, you can go on the Heaven's Gate, and there's still members, apparently. Really, really weird, though. Just really, really weird. There's their logo.
Don't you think there's probably still members of Jim Jones? Like, you know what I mean?
I don't
like
know.
People that
Oh yeah.
like the
He's a
history
prophet.
of it, so they think,
He's a prophet.
so
Or
they
they
will.
look at him as a
This is like
prophet.
part of the Bible or
Just not
something,
as
yeah.
widespread, but yeah, I bet there
Look
is.
at Dane. You will recognize a website like this. This is like
This is early.
this hasn't been updated
Yeah,
for a
this
is
while.
like
has
the-
not been updated.
New. The
Like a
hail.
MySpace page.
So they were they were
music.
worried about
Waiting for the dial-up to connect. yeah.
they're worried about the Hale Bopp comet coming, and so I think 47 members committed suicide. And the weirdest part about this one, go look up pictures of this because they're all covered with purple sheets.
I forget where was it at. Was it in the United States?
I think it was in California. Why is all the weird stuff going down in California? What's going on out there?
It's in Florida.
True. They
boys.
all wore the same exact outfit. They all bought brand new Nike shoes. They all wore. It's just like really, really, really weird. There's the Nike. Okay. There's a body right there. Just click on one of these. It's so weird. It's so strange. Like you almost gotta laugh at it because it's so ridiculous. There they all are. I think there was only 40. I mean, I shouldn't say only compared to Jimmy here. They really didn't get as many, but 47 people committed mass suicide 15 years ago. And you should try to figure out where it was, Adam. I'm pretty sure it's California. What can you buy there? You can buy their outfit right there. I just saw like a clothing store right there. You can buy their entire outfit.
Yeah, I think there's some inappropriate Halloween costumes after that happened, if I remember right too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Inappropriate?
Well, they were dressing.
Well, they were dressed like that. Yeah.
not
That's
sen-
that's the
not
question.
sensitive.
That's the question. Is it being like? Is the joke about the Kool-Aid thing? Is that being disrespectful?
You know,
or
when
because I'm actually curious. about it.
because when you brought it up, it's like you don't use it, you don't think of it in that context. So I mean, like drink the Kool-Aid means like you're jumping on board with something. So I mean, if you really, really thought about it, it
that's
is
where it
inappropriate.
came
I mean,
from.
900
It came from.
So like, yeah. So I mean, like,
is it disrespectful though when it's something horrible like
they don't mean it in that context. The person's not really meaning it in that context when they're saying it that way. But I mean, that's where it originated from.
Yeah,
So.
it originated, and how long did it take to? Now it's a little bit. People today.
Yeah.
How many know exactly?
I mean,
Not too many.
Where
like
that-
you could,
they understand.
yeah.
Hey, oh yeah, he's drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, a girlfriend and
he's
boyfriend be
jumping on it.
dating, and like your boyfriend's cheating on you, your girlfriend's cheating on you, and your friend goes, "Oh, you're really drinking his Kool-Aid," you know? Like they're not thinking at all about like you're believing everything he's saying. Like,
yeah, I would just almost argue that it can't really be like you can't. I mean, like the Halloween costume thing and all that. Like you're talking about bad people. Like maybe not Jim. I mean,
I know I wouldn't dress up as it. Just as
no.
respectful.
I can't really see how because Adam was talking about bringing Kool-Aid tonight. And I'm like, would that be disrespectful?
Decided
I
against
thought
it.
they were going to be the sponsor.
Would that be? I can't see that being disrespectful though because
Flavor Aid.
Flavor Aid. Yeah. I don't know. That's I guess that's something tough to think about, but I don't know. The guy right there though, up there,
Marshall
Rebecca,
Applewhite?
and Marshall
Yeah,
Applewhite
Applewhite,
is
yeah.
the founder. Kind of a wacky guy here too.
Tonight, Ethan, I would not drink your Kool-Aid.
If we brought some Kool-Aid in, you wouldn't have drank it. Is what you're trying to tell me, Dave. This is the guy here, 65-year-old leader.
Oh, I remember him now, seeing him again.
Now
Do you
that I
really?
See that. Yep.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
See, so this would be something more that what you guys were alive during this time.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yep.
misread the first time, but you guys were alive for this one. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
remember anything
Yeah, I
about
remember
it
this now a little
coming
bit.
up on the news?
You
and
were, or
everything?
maybe being not
Okay,
quite
I was
born.
alive. I was
Not quite
alive.
born.
I was born in '97, so I was 1 year old. So I can't remember.
No, I just said the spaceship was coming. The heli-bop. It was
Yes,
like something about the heli-bop, and they thought a spaceship was coming for them, or they were going to kill themselves, and that would transform them to the spaceship.
Yeah,
like they would travel to it.
And they had. This is something me and Adam just found out. They purchased alien abduction insurance. You can actually get that. It's a real thing. For their 50 members or whatever.
For the what ifs.
Yeah, it's a $1 million coverage plan. So if you get abducted by aliens, apparently the insurance company.
That's probably a
can
great thing we
get
should
your
take
back.
out on ourselves for this podcast.
We found out there's a lot of weird types of insurance that you probably had no idea about. You can insure any part of your body.
I did know that one.
Did you really?
Yes.
Yep.
What do you have insured, Dane?
No.
Hand model. I was thinking hand model.
That's what celebrities will
Yep.
insure their nose.
That's how I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's other body parts.
There's a
that they insure
Seinfeld where
too.
I think George insured his hand because he was a hand model.
was a hand model,
and he couldn't.
yep.
And he had to wear an oven mitt, so he didn't. He didn't use his hand.
So this group, did you find out where it was, Adam?
Oh no, I was more baffled by the fact that
It looks like California with that roof.
it says that him and 6 other male members traveled to Mexico where they volunteered to be castrated to reduce distractions. That's kind of what I was,
Really?
That's what I was focused on.
How do you? I just can't wrap my head around how people.
No, there's no way you can. There's
How
just no way to
people
wrap-
get into this stuff.
California.
It blows me away.
San Diego.
It was San Diego?
Yep.
Really? And the other one was San Francisco. So California has some issue apparently with people joining
Heaven's Gate away team.
They wore the patch on their clothes that said the Heaven's Gate away team because weren't they worried about some purple creatures coming?
I bet they watch Space Jam like every day.
Space Jam. There was a lot of Star Trek references
and
within their
place
religion.
bets on the game.
Yep.
There was a lot of Star Trek.
Sure.
And the way that they committed suicide, they mixed phenobarbital poison into applesauce or pudding and washed it down with vodka. They then tied plastic bags around their heads to asphyxiate themselves and speed their deaths. The followers, aged 26 to 72, killed themselves in 3 waves. Oh, I didn't know about this. March 24th, 25th, and 26th. The survivors always neatly arranged their dead comrades' bodies before committing suicide themselves. Wow. This is the mass suicide, the worst ever on American soil. Okay, so this is the
So wake-up call that cults are dangerous, even when left to their own devices.
wake-up call. Who was questioning?
Yeah.
You guys remember Ruby Ridge? Do you
Refresh.
know that one anymore? No. That's that white supremacy. Me and Adam were about to watch a documentary on that today, Adam, if you want to pull that one up too quick. Ruby Ridge. The white supremacist out. This happened in Idaho or something, and he had a ranch out there with a bunch of people. It was a cult. And the government had a shoot-off, like a standoff with him. This might refresh your memory. Idaho.
That picture is
terrifying.
freaky.
Which picture?
It's like one of those
first
trail
one.
cam
Oh, yeah.
pics or something. You guys better go, maybe watch Space Jam tonight when you leave, just to watch something nice.
Yeah, true.
That's terrifying.
That is creepy. See
Blair Witch
the
Project.
basic cliff notes of this incident here.
Did you say
though.
Blair Witch?
Yeah, that's
True. I can't remember the main guy's name.
Idaho, I know for sure. There's some up north there.
Ruby Ridge was the site of an 11-day siege near Naples, Idaho, U.S., beginning on August 21st, 1992, when, Randy Weaver, that's the guy, and members of his immediate family and family friend Kevin Harris resisted agents of the United States Marshal Service and the hostage rescue team of the Federal Bureau of Investigation during a Marshal Service reconnoiter of the Weaver property pursuant to a bench warrant for Weaver after his failure to appear on firearms charges. So there's 11 days standoff. This kind of is like the Waco thing. That was way longer.
They're
than
going
that.
to these
that's
forests,
crazy.
clear cutting an area, getting some cheap land.
That seems what
moving
they
into
always
there.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Secluded.
I don't know if this one was as much like religious or it was just that they were trying to get this guy and he started shooting. But he had people out there. Does it say how many people were out there, Adam? Deaths of Deputy Marshal W.F. Deegan and civilian Samuel Weaver and Vicky Weaver. Arrest of participants Randy Weaver and Kevin Harris. So those guys both got arrested. Wow. 2 killed, 2 wounded, 1 K-9 killed, 1 U.S. Marshal killed. Wow. So this is another cult type thing. I didn't realize though I'm gonna have to look these ones up that happened in Minnesota. I didn't realize it was still going on.
Yeah, I don't know how many members or how many things, but I mean it's like one of those religious sects.
Is there any way to Google it?
Pull it up. You know the name of anything or where it happened?
I bet if you just
Running
put
through the
Minnesota
courts.
cult.
Yeah, it's a couple brothers too, I think.
There's never been any cults around here, has there?
Oh yeah,
I'm sure at some point.
right there.
Yeah, here's one.
That's it. Yeah, that's the one
Polygamist
that I'm thinking
cult?
of.
Probably some that want to start one.
February 6th, 2019.
You guys wanna get
only a
one
few months
going?
ago.
No, not us. Not us.
The Bark cult. We meet here every Tuesday. What is this? Care 11. Wow. Neighbors of polygamous cult issue warning to Minnesota. FLDS church
Yeah, this is
leader.
in February.
This was just in February.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beware, said Suzanne Von Rump. Beware, echoed her husband Carl. They offered that one-word warning for Minnesota residents who have property near a 40-acre tract recently purchased by one of the leaders of the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Wait a minute. Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints, isn't that Mormon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
The
polygamy.
polygamists,
Okay, yeah.
that'd be-
So it is
yeah.
Mormons.
I mean, that's kind of where probably the majority of people would think of would be.
I just know that isn't that the name of the Mormon church, the Church of Latter-day
Yep.
Jesus or whatever, yeah. care
You
11.
get the good sister wives shows
Yeah,
and things
true.
like that. And
Yeah.
there's a little issue, and I'm sure people would think of that too. The religious sexual rituals with underage. That's where.
Yeah, that gets.
Yeah.
Damon, you brought this up before. The government being able to go in and investigate, but then you have the issue of religious freedom and
religious freedom, or
obviously if they're doing pedophile related activities or whatever, then the government can go in.
Yeah.
But when for this Jim Jones thing, if what's his name didn't go out there, Leo Ryan, no one would have done anything. These people would have. Who knows what could have happened? If they didn't go out there. Obviously, it didn't end good for this. The way it happened. But I'm saying, when would the government be able to go in and?
Well, and what government too? Because he went to a different country.
True. That's when I was watching it with Adam.
So what do you think?
Yeah, what do you think?
Would you step in? They're not in our country.
True.
They've chosen.
Mm-hmm.
They've made the decision to leave.
Yeah. I can just.
They're not here.
I'm picturing. Let's just say this happens in 2019.
Yeah.
So 900 people, U.S. citizens, leave the United States. You think someone would first of all report my brother, my sister went out here.
Yep.
Part of this thing. So then they'd be like, well, someone's got to be interested. Obviously, Leo Ryan was interested.
So he was interested.
Yeah. So he went out
Should
there.
have he been interested?
Of course, I agree with that. Yeah,
You think
I think he needed backup from the U.S.
Yeah.
military. I think that they should have brought people out there because. They're not on U.S. territory, but the U.S. is known for intervening in foreign affairs and other things.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's no reason that the United States, because when I was watching with Adam, I'm like, why the heck did the United States military not go out there and take care of this? Because
they had no right at the time.
But when do they have the right? I feel like they have the right to go. If they're U.S. citizens, they can go there and check in to make sure everything's going right. And then maybe this Leo Ryan wouldn't have been killed. Maybe there wouldn't have been such a big thing if people could have actually got out. Because I feel like there's a lot more people than 15 that wanted to leave this place. They wanted to get out, and so that brings up an issue. It kind of goes into the debate about religion, about when the government can step in, and that even brings into stuff like taxing and stuff. Like the Scientology is a tax exempt. People would call Scientology a cult. When can the government go in and
or vaccinations? Like some religions don't want to vaccinate their kids, and then
when
you have all these outbreaks.
When can the government step in and say, well, let's back up here a little bit, and are we doing things the right way, or are we doing things according to your religion? Because there's a difference between things. I get the difference. You can't have religion and government, but there's got to be when the government can intervene when things are going obviously wrong.
Yep.
So I don't know what the laws are regarding that, but I feel like something like this, I don't think it'll
protect
hopefully
those who can't protect themselves sometimes.
Yeah. Obviously these people were in low spots. If they, like you guys said, needed to go with this guy that obviously was not mentally there. So hopefully, like their sign says, history won't repeat itself. And something like this will never happen again, because 900 people is unbelievable to me that actually went through.
I think like what Dane was getting at, I think too, is it's hindsight's 2020. How do you prevent something like this, like 900 followers going over to a whole nother different country? Like what kind of measures are there? This reporter went in obviously not thinking, well, unless he was on a suicide mission himself, not thinking that was going to be he's going to get shot at. He was just looking for a big scoop, and must not have thought that was a very high percentage that he was in that much danger.
Yeah, it seems like they went into it so oblivious.
You said bring an army, you better bring some guns to the gunfight, not some.
Yeah,
knives.
I don't think they realized what they're getting themselves into. Like that when they showed up and that guy gave them the note, he was warning them like, we need to go now. We need to leave right now because you guys don't realize how armed. And it's just like the David Koresh thing. Did anyone think that David Koresh had hundreds of guns, enough to defeat the ATF or whatever for many days? Like, did anyone think that was going to be the case? I don't think anyone knew what was going on.
Did Jim Jones was he having charges of underage? Like sex with minors
I don't think he had any formal charges.
No, there was no formal charges. The investigation was regarding like not letting people leave, physical abuse.
Because that's like when you have to work with, like if they are in that country, the United States government, if there's citizens over there with their passports, because they're still United States citizens. That's when they can work with that if they have a connection, work with that government over there and try to get something figured out when the safety of minors are involved, things like that. That's kind of I'd say that's a good
Yeah.
good
Well,
good measure to get involved, like down in Waco too. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, yeah. The Waco thing was there was all kinds of pedophile stuff going on with David Koresh. She was sleeping with all the younger girls. So I mean, there was no doubt there. I don't know if that was as much the case with Jim Jones as much as he was just manipulating literally everyone, punishing people, drugging kids, drugging grown-ups as well. So I think it was just everything coming together made it like a horrible situation. And it was just a guy that was so egotistical, just a psycho, that should have never even got that many people to follow him, if anybody, but they did, and we see what happens. So I don't really know when the government should be able to come in, but I feel like we hopefully could prevent something like this.
I think the surveillance is probably much better nowadays with technology and with not history and knowing signs to look for and cutting some of that stuff out before it gets to that point.
Exactly, yeah. So,
But
I
it's still
mean,
out there.
interesting stuff. And I think I really, in the future sometime, I really want to do a podcast on Scientology. I think that's super interesting. And there's been a ton of people who've gotten out of that and who've came forward and talked about that, because I think there's...
I'd like to learn a little bit about it. I don't really know anything about it besides Tom Cruise.
I was just going to ask the same thing. Are we going to Tom Cruise? Can I come
Cruise?
back on when Tom Cruise is here? Can you invite me back?
Tom Cruise and John Travolta's another big one.
We have one better. We
Yeah.
have Dane Nielsen.
Yeah.
I mean, who needs Tom?
Yeah, we don't need Tom Cruise.
I'm just not in Scientology. So
Yeah, true.
Top Gun 2.
Top Gun 2.
yeah, I'm excited.
Maverick is
I'm
coming
excited.
out.
See when those jets like cascade
Yes.
off to each other, go like around that corner.
Hey, wait, did the trailer come out?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
So
No.
it's great.
Oh,
Dang.
those jets come, they just come around the corner and shoo, shoo.
Yep.
Dang.
Sorry, I'm dorking out.
No,
Can't
I
wait.
mean, so look forward to that. We'll have a Scientology podcast in the future. I think there'd be some really interesting stuff to talk about there. We can relate the David Koresh incident and the Jim Jones incident to Scientology, and we'd probably find quite a few similarities, I think. So thank you very much, Dane, for coming on. It's been a great podcast with you.
Thank you. Pleasure. Always
The
a pleasure
Dane
being
Nielsen
here.
effect, we
I'll
call
shake
it.
your hand, Dane.
Yeah.
Dane, appreciate it.
We'll be back next week. I think we're going to be talking about serial killers, if I'm
Is that-
correct, because we did a
You did
Facebook
a
thing.
poll, yeah.
Yep. And I actually think serial killers won, but I didn't see that until after we already picked the topic.
And,
So-
Scary.
oh, did they? And if you're a real business and want to sponsor the show,
I was
like,
gonna
hit
say-
Ethan up and like we'll make you a card and throw you in the
We can,
for sure we'll draw you and throw you in with the other one.
We can get you here. Mountain Dew, if you really want to sponsor and get Mountain Dew out of here, we can definitely figure
trades.
something out. So thank you, everyone,
Be
for
a good
watching.
sponsor for next week. Mountain Doom.
Mountain Dew.
The drink of serial killers.
There we go.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, thank you very much, Dane, again, for coming on. Great to have you. We'll be back next week. To everyone watching, make sure you are sharing, retweeting, commenting, giving us a review on iTunes if you enjoyed it. We'll enter your name into a drawing, and you could win a T-shirt, Cottonwood DVD, a signed Damon Weinandt shirt.
Yeah, the DVD
The
comes with it,
original.
and then the
And then, there we go. Yeah, we
autograph
give a
comes?
little package there.
I'll do a little headshot.
Next week will be a big giveaway, so make sure you're doing that. We really appreciate everyone for giving us suggestions and comments. We've been reading some things on Facebook from fans. Some people have been posting on Instagram and Facebook saying they've been listening every week and they've been telling their friends about it.
Oh,
so
thank you.
appreciate everyone for getting the podcast out there. We're just trying to have a good time and have a good discussion.
I'll get an
here.
Instagram soon so you can put something under my name, I swear.
Oh, yeah. I got Dane
One of
there.
these
I
days.
take Dane on the
Yeah.
new post. So
There you go.
No
make sure
Twitter.
you're following our Instagram. It's the EC Podcast Show on there. Make sure you're doing that. We also have Facebook, and we don't have Twitter yet, but maybe we'll have that soon. YouTube, obviously, if you're watching. iTunes, if you're listening. And we're on all the other podcast directories as well. This is the Clerc Podcast Show. We'll be back next week.